Hey everyone, Crypto back, and I figure I'd try to do a video game review since I haven't done one in a long time, and I apologize for that because I don't know if I said this, but I now download games. I don't buy them physically anymore. So trying to do game reviews on games that I download and I don't buy physically can be a challenge since I don't have the game case to show. But I figured I'd do a review on Assassin's Creed Shadows. And before you ask, I'm not going to spoil the story, or at least I'm going to try not to spoil the story, because the story itself is not bad, but I'm going to try not to spoil it. So if you want to know how the story goes, you're going to have to buy the game yourself. But yeah, I'm going to try not to spoil the story, so here we go. I'm going to be focusing more on like the visuals, the gameplay, the characters. Do my best. Because again, I buy games digitally now. I don't buy them physically. But anyway, let's just get started. Yeah, first things first. I want to quickly touch upon the main menu, or the Animus Hub as it's called, because it shows you can actually play some Assassin's Creed games that were released earlier, like Origins, Odyssey, Valhalla, and Mirage. Which I will say, I did play Origins and Odyssey, but I never played Mirage or Valhalla. I'm gonna admit this, I completely skipped those two because I saw things in those games that I wasn't a fan of. But I did get Shadows, because, well, Shadows is literally a game that takes place in feudal Japan that people wanted for a long time. And honestly, we finally got it. And it's another game where you have two playable characters. I mean, Origins kind of had it, but I wasn't really playable in the open world. Only on missions, not the open world, unfortunately. You mostly play as Bayek. But I'm going off topic. I'm just trying to straighten these out. But yeah, the characters you play as is a new character named Naue and a fictional samurai, or no, not fictional, but a historical samurai named Yasuke, which I'm going to touch upon this right now. When people found out there was going to be a dark-skinned samurai in this game, they freaked out and called Ubisoft woke. Even though, if you did your research, you will know that Yasuke was a real-life dark-skinned samurai that existed back then. So no, it's not Ubisoft going woke. Yasuke was an actual dark-skinned samurai that existed. So I don't know why people were freaking out about this. It's just ridiculous. But yeah, Yasuke was a real dark-skinned samurai. I said that 3 times already, but again, he existed. He was real. I really don't understand why people would freak out about this. But yeah, you play as Naue and Yasuke. Naue being a shinobi and Yasuke being a samurai, with their own unique playstyles and weaponry to choose. Which, I'll go over Naue's. She has a, obviously she has a katana. She can use katanas, tantos, and those bladed chain weapons. I think it's called a kusara something. I don't know. I don't really know the name, but those are the 3 main weapons she uses. Yasuke kind of gets a bit more. He can use long katanas, naginatas, konobos, bows and arrows, and teppos, which are pretty much rifles that you use in the game. Almost like musket rifles. And of course they have their own different armors they can wear, like different armors, I should say. And Yasuke is fun to play as, but Naue, she's more of the since she's more athletic and more of a climber, she's able to, climb buildings, do the leap of faith, and all those athletic stuff that assassins usually do. Yasuke, he's no slouch himself, but he's not much of a climber like Naoe is. Like, for example, you try to walk on tight roads with Yasuke, it's gonna break under him. Or if you try to climb buildings, it's much slower. So yeah, Yasuke, he's not much of a climber. Again, he's no slouch. He's just not much of a climber like Naoe is. And he doesn't have eagle vision either, since he's, well, not an assassin, he's a samurai. But yeah, the characters are actually not bad. Not bad. And the visuals of the game just look amazing. Like how the wilderness looks, the animals, how some people react, and just overall, the game just looks amazing. The detail is just fantastic, and especially when the seasons change, how the world is affected by it. That's really awesome. Now for the gameplay, this is where I will admit I have mixed feelings with. There are two different gameplay modes that you can do. There's canon mode and some other mode, I forgot what it was called, but the canon mode is where everything happens in a canonical order, while the other mode that I don't know the name of has a dialogue system where you choose what happens. But I don't know if I said this, but I'm not a fan of the dialogue system. I mean, I wasn't a fan of it in Odyssey, even though it was Ubisoft's first game to have a dialogue system. I didn't like it. And the fact they tried to make it more RPG in Valhalla, that's why I completely skipped it. And for Mirage, it just... I mean, if you watched some reviews on Mirage, you know why I skipped it. You'll understand why I completely skipped it. But Shadows, I'm actually glad Ubisoft gave us the choice for canon mode or like RPG mode, I think it's what it's called. Again, I don't know the official name, but I played it on like canon mode because I do not like the dialogue system. I mean, there are some dialogue options, but they don't really affect the story much, mostly side quests and all that. But yeah. Either way though, I'm glad they gave us the option because like I said, I did not like the dialogue choices in Odyssey. But now for the gameplay itself, I'm mixed about it. Because in this game, for some reason Ubisoft decided to change the controls from how they felt originally like in Odyssey and Origins to something else. Like the attack buttons, instead of being square and triangle on the PlayStation, are now R1 and R2, which I do not like. And the way you sprint, you click the left analog stick to sprint, and hold down the right analog stick to use eagle vision, which I'm gonna say right now, clicking those analog sticks plenty of times will end up increasing the risk of stick drift, and that's what I don't like. Unfortunately, what makes this frustrating is now Ubisoft, if you want to change the controls, you have to manually change the inputs on the buttons yourself, which I do not like because you change the inputs, they end up colliding with other actions that other buttons do, which I do not like. I really do not like how button prompts end up colliding with other actions. I really do not like that. They should have just had an option to switch the entire control scheme in general, like switch it from modern to classic mode. Like, for example, bring the attack buttons back to square and triangle if you're on PlayStation. But yeah, that's one thing I'm not a fan of, how they changed the control scheme, which it was fine back in Odyssey and Origins. It didn't need to be changed. It was fine as it was. I mean, Ubisoft, there was a saying that was said for a very long time already. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like, the controls were fine as they were, Ubisoft. I honestly have no idea why you changed it. Honestly, I really hope they make an update where they change the controls back to the classic ones, or at least give us the option to switch it instead of making us manually change the button inputs. Because really, I just want to enjoy a game where I don't have to risk, or I don't risk stick drift every time I want to sprint. But yeah, that's one thing I'm not a fan of, how Ubisoft switched the controls. And it's not just this game. It's also a game I also played called, what was it? Immortals Phoenix Rising. Yeah, that's the one. They changed the control scheme to where you try to switch it back to be more classic looking. They collide with other actions, and I do not like that. So yeah, I was not a fan of the control scheme they chose. Now, it doesn't ruin the game, it just makes it irritating. Like, come on. What if we want to play the game with more classic controls? That doesn't involve us having to manually change the button prompts ourselves and risk those prompts colliding with other actions in the game. But either way, the game's still fun. And I used to think that Origins was one of the last good Assassin's Creed games. Well, Shadows is one of the last good Assassin's Creed games too. Now, but with how Ubisoft has been as of recently, I am unsure if I'm going to continue buying their games or if I'm just going to stop. I don't know. I mean, considering what Ubisoft has been doing as of lately, probably Assassin's Creed Shadows is going to be the last Ubisoft game I buy. Which is a shame, because Ubisoft was one of my favorite video game companies. I mean, the Assassin's Creed franchise was amazing. But like I said, with what they've recently been doing, it's just I'm close to no longer buying games from them, which is a shame. Because again, it was one of my favorite game companies, but now I'm just disappointed with what they've been doing. But who knows? Maybe they might realize their mistakes and actually try to do better. I hope. But either way, back to Assassin's Creed Shadows. Not a bad game. It's very fun. The world is pretty huge. It's not as big as Odyssey, but it's still big on its own right. And it's just really awesome. And they did bring in a hideout builder, which I think was in Valhalla. I didn't play Valhalla. I skipped that game, but even still. So yeah, Assassin's Creed Shadows, not bad at all. And I am thankful, like I said, that they gave us the option to not have any dialogue options for the main game. I mean, granted, there are some things that happen that you wish didn't, but for me, I'm just glad I was given the option to not have any dialogue choices. But yeah, still fun. I mean, Naoe and Yasuke are good characters, and I don't know if this is the first game where you get to play it as a historical character that existed back then. I don't know. I think this is the first game in the Assassin's Creed. Oh wait, no, I was wrong. You play as Leonidas a bit in Assassin's Creed Odyssey. So yeah, this isn't the first game where you play as a historical character. You play as Leonidas in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and you play as Yasuke in Shadows. The difference is Yasuke, you can play as him in free roam. But yeah, that's pretty much all I can say about the game. I wish I had more to say. Like I said, I'm not spoiling story, so if you want to know how the story goes, you're gonna have to play the game yourself. I'm not gonna spoil it. But yeah, not a bad game. I mean, aside from the new control scheme, which I'm not a fan of, the game is still fun. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. See you all next time.